great roadmap ever since. So we have these challenges in the market that I alluded to a little bit earlier. We're talking about fragmented reporting and verification. We're talking about data integrity. Yeah. Okay. Yes. I do not know if I can do the whole thing. I was kind of freestyling at the beginning, but we can. I apologize to everyone. The lines. Do I keep that or say it again? It's kind of corny if I say it again. Okay. Really, this is for YouTube afterwards. So sorry, guys. Yeah, this is proof of work. Proof of work. I'm joking. We don't do proof of work around here. This is a kind of like an insider joke here. Yeah. Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining. First and foremost, I want to give a big shout out to HBAR Foundation, to Swirls Labs for partnering together with the UNFCCC Secretariat Office. We're going to be talking about how they supported this initiative that we're going to present in just a little bit. There was a little issue with the audio, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of give my intro all over again. It's kind of second time, but for those that didn't catch at the beginning, there was extremely long lines to get into COP28. This is where we're presenting from right now. Lines were backed up to about 2 hours, 3 hours just to get in. So, I just want to thank everyone for hanging in. You're going to be watching this on YouTube. We wish that we were watching it from YouTube as well, but at the same time, we had to go through the long lines just to get here. So, thanks again. So, I was traveling in the morning, and there was a timely article that I had taken a look into. It was from an insurance company, and an insurance company essentially put out an opinion piece about how the carbon market today is a buyer's market, and it's turning into a buyer's market because these buyers are looking at these fraud cases that we have in the industry, and they're basically saying that they want to see what's behind these offsets. And it's really hard for them to really trust. It's really distorting all these market dynamics which are happening. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, because the opinion piece went a little bit further and said, well, it's not just the fact that things are kind of in shambles, that there's a critical eye, but actually what's happening is that now there's this need for us to prove it, prove it or lose it type of a thing. So that's kind of what we're here. That's kind of what we're here to talk about. Again, thank you everyone for joining. We're going to be talking about the next generation of registry systems. And the vision that we're going to be discussing is kind of this narrative around this re-envisioning, if you will, of this carbon market industry, and how we can provide technology that's not just about technology, but it's really about improving the frameworks, how we can reinstate the trust within the carbon market so that the buyers can feel safe about what they have. We're going to be talking about the challenges that we're facing. We're going to talk about the solution, and obviously we're going to be talking about, as I mentioned earlier, with support of the UNFCCC Secretariat Office, we have a case study to present. So just 5 seconds about us. My name is Daniel Norkin. I'm one of the co-founders here at Envision Blockchain. You don't see him right here, but he's in the audience. I'm here with Jason Panzis, another co-founder of Envision Blockchain. We've been in the Web3 space since the early part of 2018 and partnered together with Swirls Labs and HBAR Foundation to build the Guardian, which we're going to be talking about. So we're the builders and maintainers of the Guardian. We've had a very successful journey together with our partners and the community members as well. So we open sourced the first version in October 2021, and it's been going great ever since. So I alluded to some of the carbon market problems earlier. And, the truth is that we're confronted with a lot of these challenges, which are really inhibiting the trust and the legitimacy that we have. We have fragmented reporting and verification. We have a lot of different standard registries. We have a lot of different databases. We have a lot of different data coming in. And, it's like, how can we compare the data? How can we take a look at the data and make sure that there's, that it's all compliant, that's all following the rules? And, the fact that there's all these different fragmentations within the market, it's really making it hard to trust. Then, of course, we have data integrity, as I mentioned. We have these risks of double counting. We have these risks of fraudulent claims and misreporting. And it's not just messing up the market conditions, it's really just causing all buyers to just not trust it completely. And for that reason, we saw, for example, Shell put out this whole press release that they're not buying all the offsets that they planned on buying simply because they just don't trust what they're buying. Not to say that they don't want to, they just want to trust it. So we want to be able to help that out. There's also high verification costs. We have, for example, bottlenecks of verification, which is really, stifling the whole project participants and project developers. They don't get paid until their offsets are sold. So they're really, putting the money up. They're probably getting financed as well. So, the truth is that, it's like how can we improve the verification process so that they go through these bottlenecks quicker? And then, of course, there's the lack of real-time data. We've spoken to a lot of stakeholders over the past couple of years. Specifically, I mentioned the financiers, that they just don't know the status of where the projects are, where the approvals are happening, what's going on between the VVBs, between the project developers, what's going on between the standard registry and the project developers. So these are some of the issues which are causing the fact for all these buyers to say we need trust and we need integrity. And that's where we have the Guardian. That's entirely what the Guardian is aiming to do. It's an open source platform that stands as a testament to the power of modern technology, aimed at breaking down all of these bottlenecks that we mentioned. It's streamlining the creation, management, and verification of these digital environmental assets. Really, what sets apart the Guardian from any other solution in the carbon marketplace is at the core we have a policy workflow engine. You're able to mimic all of the standards and all the methodologies that exist in the space and digitize them. And when you digitize them, you can start doing things that you were never able to do before. So again, you take a look at any sort of standard registry and their methodologies. You have these 400-page documents. You don't know what to do if you're a project developer, where to submit information, what the calculations are, what the next steps are. And that's where we're bringing digital transformation into the carbon market space. The reason for the integrity and the trust lies in the choice to build the Guardian on the Hedera public ledger. Because when you send information to the public ledger, it's permanent. You can't change the data. And because of that, you can now trust what's actually happening. And on top of that, we take everything a step forward. Now we're introducing tokenization. So with the fact that we're able to not just issue PDFs, right? Because that's how things are done today. But behind every offset or emission, they're encapsulated within a token, which contains data. So when you think about it, because we're using a public utility, Hedera Ledger, right? With that, you're able to now discover the story behind every single offset. It tells a story behind the origin, all the way through the trading, all the way through the retirement, where the funds are flowing to. Everything is fully transparent. So, did I go back? 1 second. Yep. So just to dive into a little bit of the technical, I don't want to get too technical on this presentation, but just to help understand. And over here, there's a video which is being looped right now. This is something that's the core of how we can prove what's happening, the process, what data is behind everything, who approved what. It's something that we call the trust chain. And the Guardian offers carbon markets the ability to operate in a fully auditable ecosystem by merging some of these technologies together. I'm going to mention some of them. Everything that we have is built on standards. So the first standard we're going to talk about is the W3C decentralized identifiers, known as DIDs. These are identifiers which are pinned onto the ledger to prove who's behind it, what entity behind it. You can assign a DID to IoT devices, to entities, to businesses, to corporations, to individuals. There's also a standard W3C verifiable credentials. Sounds complicated, but they're just digital documents. So whenever data is being sent, it's being translated into a digital document. All these digital documents are linked together to form a chain. That's what is the meaning behind the W3C verifiable presentation. Again, all of that is linked to the identity and the documents. We're using the public ledger technology, as we mentioned over there with the Hedera hash graph. And then also at the core is the policy workflow engine. I know I keep saying that a lot during the presentation, but we're going to showcase that in just a second. So you may be wondering, well, how do I get my hands on this? It's available right now. I just want to mention there's two versions of the Guardian. We have the open source version of the Guardian. It's available to fork and use immediately. You would go to github.com/hashgraph/Guardian. Okay. At the same time, Envision Blockchain also has the managed Guardian service, which is our hosted version of the Guardian. It's available at guardianservice.io. It's live in a free beta period right now. We provide multi-tenants. We provide all the SaaS benefits for those that don't necessarily want to manage it in the open source space. For those that are watching this on YouTube, or those that are here in the stands, feel free to contact me. We're going to be here at COP28 for the next couple weeks. Schedule a meeting with me. We'll onboard you to the Managed Guardian service, so we'll get you started with the open source Guardian literally right now. Well, after the presentation, of course. And, feel free to contact. So there's some benefits to every different actor within this space. So, for example, for standards and registry administrators, they want the ability to have efficiency and transparency. I'm going to mention some of these features, but again, we're going to show you a demo and we're going to go through literally almost every feature that the Guardian has. We're going to do it in record time too. It's going to go pretty quick. We have schemas, digital schemas, which allow for structured blueprints for consistent data handling. You have the availability to create digital methodologies so that your entire workflow, all the approvals, all the approves and rejects, and who needs to send what message to what party and how it needs to be, that's all taken care of within here. And then obviously there's issuance and retirement. And again, when we're talking about issuance and retirement, we want to make sure that there's integrity involved here. So we're using, again, the system of record, which is Hedera, ensures that the credits are retired once and not reused, that they're issued and you can actually track everything that's happening. At the same time, you also have the transparency, the whole traceable credit life cycle from creation to retirement again. And speed, obviously. We're talking about speed to market. Project developers, project proponents want to collect their offsets so they can go ahead and make their business run. So the faster that these get verified and issued to them, the faster that they make money. Project participants, project developers, they want to efficiently manage their projects. We've had calls from project developers that have watched our YouTube videos and our webinars, for example, that they've never seen submission of project data so simple. There's one particular screen where you can go and see the list of all the policies that project developers have access to. They can register for policies. That's what we call a digital methodology. And they can go and actually automate the submission of their MRV data. They can actually submit it and know where they are what's the progress, what's the steps involved, and what comes next. Also, at the same time, we're talking about speed to market. I'm going to say this a couple of times because that's important for project developers and project proponents, project participants. It's like, imagine that you spent years learning one methodology. You know this methodology inside and out like the back of your hand. And then all of a sudden you get a call from a customer and you need to do another methodology. What we've been hearing is that it takes months to possibly a year to fully learn that new methodology. It's very hard to keep up and scale your business this way. But if we have everything structured, what we're going to show you is from a theoretical perspective, that speed to market reduces because all you need to do is go to the screen, know what inputs you need to do, all the calculations are handled for you, and all you got to do is just handle your business accordingly. VVBs at the same time also benefit. Again, efficiency and transparency is the key theme over here, but they want to be able to verify projects quickly. They want to have verification automation. They want to be able to have a digital audit trail that they can see who approved, what they approved, when they approved, how they approved. They also want to be able to have secure communication to all the different stakeholders within the value chain. So again, I told you that we open sourced the first version in October 2021, and literally the community has flourished. Again, I've been giving a lot of shout outs to all the people involved. There's just a couple names over here that you see on the screen. Some of our community members, I might be missing some. I probably am missing some. There's a lot of users that I'm just finding out that they're using the Guardian as well. There are over 100 projects that are using the Guardian right now for their own case, whether it's open source or it's managed Guardian service. And there's all of these different use cases that come up. So again, the Guardian is just like, I want to humble the fact that we're just one part of the entire ecosystem. So because we're able to create this digital asset, businesses could now flourish from that. We have business models around those that are being methodology creators, policy creators. There's new standard registries that are coming onto the market. There's exchanges that are coming onto the market. There's MRV solutions, explorers, credit forwarders like Evercity, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of things that are happening because we're able to digitize things. So I want to take this moment and announce for the first time some of the features that we have at COP28, what we're going to be demonstrating here for the first time. This is the big reveal. So I've mentioned a lot of the features that the Guardian has, but there's some things that I kind of held until this particular slide right here. So we wanted to make sure that we provided the next generation system. How can we keep the user in mind? And the user is not just the standard registry. The user is also the project developers. The users are also the VVBs. So for example, we're now introducing the ability to have advanced search. AI search is the hot topic right now. We've integrated together with ChatGPT to provide normal language inputs to sift through all the methodologies. The problem statement over here is there's 300 policies, methodologies, if you will, that exist throughout all the different standard registries. How does a project proponent that might not know what the methodology is called, but know what their actions are, how can they find the right one by just putting in what their actions are? That's what we aim to achieve. Also, moving on from AI search, maybe there needs to be a set of criteria. We know whether it's a large scale project, small scale project. Maybe we know that we're doing, energy efficiency, or right? There's all of these different sectoral scopes and whatnot. So we wanted to be able to incorporate that. At the same time, we also wanted to take a big crack at how can we eliminate double counting. Well, the only way that we can do that is if we actually have the ability to compare project data against each other, right? So, for example, what happens when you have one project and you compare it to another project and they happen to be doing the same thing in the same location? Things start to get a little funny. So we want to be able to bring that to the forefront so that the powers that be can actually take a look at it and make some determinations. So for that, we are introducing a project data comparison tool. Again, all this we're about to demonstrate in a second. That includes the Global Blockchain Business Council, DMRV specification version 2 compliant property fields. Because of this, we're able to have these values behind the data schemas that we mentioned. So now we can have enhanced data analysis. Again, like I keep saying, promoting transparency and are attempting our best to prevent double counting. So the Guardian as a whole, including these new features, really aligns together with Article 6.2 of the Paris Agreement by enhancing project transparency and traceability, standardizing reporting, and aiding in the management and verification of international environmental projects.
Just to make sure regarding timing, so you have another 10, maximum 15 minutes.
15 is perfect. Cool. So we're going to go through this quickly. We had support from the UNFCCC to demonstrate these new features that I'm talking about. So everyone knows the UNFCCC CDM. They've enabled standards to evolve from a common base of original methodologies. The challenge was, how can we transition from complex traditional methodologies, these 400-page PDFs, if you will, and streamline them to a digital-first approach that enhances MRV activities for project developers? The solution that we're about to demonstrate, built on top of the Managed Guardian service, which includes the open source, which includes open source Guardian. It's a platform that acts as a bridge between project developers and the digital UNFCCC CDM library. Again, ensuring seamless search, data processing, and efficient issuance of environmental assets. So in addition to that, we digitized 15 of the CDM digital methodologies. It's available in the open source. So please feel free to go to github.com/hashgraph/Guardian. Take a look at the methodology library. You can see we provided a very robust documentation of workflows, descriptions, and actually you can go ahead and use them for yourself. The project participant demo scenario that we're about to demonstrate. So in India and Madagascar, 2 ongoing projects aim to enhance clean cooking practices among vulnerable communities. These initiatives introduce improved cook stoves to households and families below the poverty level, targeting the mitigation of indoor air pollution and health risks. By utilizing AMS2G methodology within the CDM, both projects quantify emission reductions resulting from the shift from traditional to modern stoves. This transition not only reduces greenhouse gas emissions, black carbon, and fuel wood consumption, but also contributes to preventing forest degradation, thereby promoting environmental preservation. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to play this demo. This is about a 12-minute demo, and I'm going to go ahead and narrate what's happening here in the back, and then that'll be the end of this. So I think we're doing pretty good on time. So here we're just showing you from the view of the standard registry. The standard registry is registering for the platform. Of course, they're doing user profile setup. We have different ways to authenticate. Right now, we're going to be authenticating through the Hedera account. So you're going to see over here, they're putting the Hedera ID, putting in their private key. They're filling out a company profile. This company profile is extremely important. Whenever somebody registers and onboards to the Guardian, whether it's MGS, whether it's open source, we're using something called Hedera Topics. It's like a Rolodex, if you will. It's something that you can subscribe to. And we're sending a hello world message with the standard registry information onto this Hedera topic. All standard registries are being kind of put into the same topic, into the same location, if you will, so that you can go ahead and you can search all of these different standard registries, which makes, again, token auditability a lot easier. This is kind of where things originate from. We're going to be connecting the user over here. So give this a second again, just to talk about some things that are happening. You're seeing that you're using the user interface. Both open source and MGS are available not just through the user interface, but available through APIs. So we definitely do recommend those companies that are looking to build on top of that. They can do so. They can keep their front ends and still integrate with the Guardian. You see over here, so we developed the policies, the digital methodologies separately, you're able to import them, which is another good reason for those that aren't sure how to build the policies, the methodologies, to go ahead and take a look at the methodology library that it currently lives within the Hedera repo. It's the largest digital methodology that exists, to my opinion. So again, we're importing it. We're creating more policy topics. So all MRV data which is being submitted is going to be submitted right into that policy topic. And over here, you could see this is how we enable the project comparison. There's these there's the properties that are happening on the left side of the workflow. We're going to go back in and show it again. Some of these metadata points are being used for ChatGPT to be able to take a look at what the methodologies, what the metadata behind the methodologies are, how we can start to organize the filtered search, etc. So now we're going to be importing not just one policy, but we have a couple policies that are going to be imported here just to kind of show you how the process goes. So again, every policy gets its own Hedera topic. It's a very good way to organize where the data is. So again, we're always aiming for full auditability, easy discovery, so on and so forth. Okay, so now we're just about to complete the importing of the policy file over here. All right, successfully imported that. Again, we're setting the policy schema. Again, we're taking a look at our sectoral scopes. In order for the project comparison to work, again, for those that want to explore this on your own, you can go ahead and take a look at the open source Guardian, and you can onboard to manage Guardian service. Again, the first way to make policy, the project comparison work is to set the policy schema, as you just saw in the video. Okay, we're importing, I believe this is going to be the last policy file for the demo. We're going to be publishing one of them, just so you know. We're not going to be publishing all of them. Now, I just mentioned publish. We're going to show that again. I'll talk about that. When we publish the policy, that's how a standard registry will broadcast that their policy is ready for project developers to begin interacting with. So there's a way for standard registries to import these policies and begin fiddling with them and edit them and work with them. That's all in draft mode, but obviously they can also publish them and invite project participants to interact with them. Now we're showing a policy comparison tool. So because we have them in the digital world, you can choose which methodologies you want to compare against each other, how they're structured and whatnot. We're going to move over to schemas. Schemas, again, is the structure behind how the data gets inputted. There's also a concern around privacy. We've incorporated selective disclosure for those that are in the W3 space. That's zero knowledge proof implementations. So that's how we have some fields that are encrypted, some aren't. Right now we're showing the property fields. The property fields are, again, from the GBBC DRMV specification version 2. That's how we're able to link the project comparison together. We're just opening up right now a random schema just so you could see how that they're structured. You can go back to the YouTube video and take a look at it. I know we're going through quick just for the sake of time, but again, we have different schema types. We have strings, we have integers, we have schema JSONs, everything that's needed to be able to input the correct MRV, we're doing it. Okay, so right now we're going to be publishing a policy. Okay, again, this is what we mentioned. You can enter a version number. It's very common for standard registries to publish different versions of the methodology so that project developers know which methodology versioning they want to interact with. Okay, so now we're publishing that policy. It's going to take a second over here. All right. Thank you for bearing with me as the standard registry sets up the whole process. We're going to open up. Remember I mentioned the policy workflow engine? This is the policy workflow engine, essentially. So you have these little Lego blocks, if you will, almost like a BPM tool, where you can drag and drop, like a low-code, no-code editor, what the workflow is. And this is how we're able to stay dynamic within this digital era. Okay, so again, flipping over to tokens, it's important that we could just flash the tokens. We can see when we publish a token, there's a token ID. You can go ahead and track that. All right. At this point now, we're now going to log in to the project developer. The project developer already went through the setup. I spared everyone that time. We don't have to have them go ahead and register. Doing the same thing for the VVB user. The VVB created, we're just opening up the screen. We're going to go back and forth on a couple different screens, but obviously in the lower left-hand side, you can see who the user is. Right now, the project developer wants to search for the policies. So they're going to now interact with the AI. They're going to type in, I believe that it was a cook stove policy. It gives them straight to the place where they can go and register for their project. And again, you can see there's energy efficiency, so on and so forth in the guided search. They know which project that they need to go and register with. You also see the list of policies as well. Let's say that you already know which methodology that you want to do. You don't want to go through the search. You go straight to the list. You can go and register. So right now, we're going at like 20x speed right here, as you can see. This is a project developer submitting all of the MRV information I just mentioned earlier. Remember, there was these two projects, one in India, one in Madagascar. So they're inputting all the MRV data. I don't know if you had time to see it. They were pinning information and locations on the map and so on and so forth, okay? Now we're over at the UNFCCC, the standard registry screen. They're approving this project. Now the project developer got the approval. We flip screens. This is happening really quick. They're now adding their monitoring report. They're submitting the report, okay? We're taking a look at the monitoring report. We're about to submit it. Very good. Now we're about to go on to the next one, go on to the next screen. We're moving on a little bit forward. VVB is getting assigned at this step right here. When the VVB gets selected by the project participant, they can view the document, they can view the monitoring report, they can approve it. If they were to reject it, they can add a note, submit it back. We're going back now to the standard registry. In this case, is the UNFCCC. They are able to take a look into it. And as you can see right here in the upper right, issuance happened. Tokens were minted. Okay, we're minting tokens at this point. And the important part with this is that now we're able to take a look at the trust chain. I believe, I'm looking at it right now, there's one issuance of 7,000 offsets. There's another issuance of, I think, around 14,000 offsets. And now we're taking a look at the entire trust chain. It's presented to you in this card style fashion. Again, you can interact with their APIs and visualize it in the own way that you want to your customers, etc. But this is how we're showcasing it. You can see who approved it, what step approved it, what party approved it. And I want to just take a step back and see how you can take a look at all the data behind the token issuance. We're not guaranteeing that the data that's coming into the Hedera ledger is accurate. There's no way to do it. Garbage in, garbage out. What we're telling the world is that now you have accountability for who's approving that data, and you could trace back who approved it and what the data was all about. These verifiable credentials are essentially digital signatures that now everyone has for the first time. Like, this data is not locked into a treasure box of PDFs and you don't have the key. You finally have the key where you can open everything up and take a look at what's happening over here. So now we're importing all the data. You see, we registered for the second project right now. Okay, we just filled out all of that information. UNFCCC is approving it over here. Okay, we're moving on with the workflow. At this step, we are adding the monitoring report again for the second project. So again, this is the same project developer that's filling out project information at two different locations in the world. One in India, one in Madagascar. We mentioned, okay? So we're going through. Again, second project, assigning the VVB. We switch over to the VVB screen. The VVB sees the monitoring report. They approve it. Again, just stating there's the opportunity for comments to go back and forth between VVBs and project proponents and participants and standard registries and whatnot. And there you go. Here we have the second project approved. Tokens are minted. And I believe that the screen is small, but on this one we have 65,000 offsets that were just minted, literally that quick. That quick, the project developer received their offsets. All right, so we're talking about speed, integrity, trust, and now we're taking a look at the second trust chain. And now here's a landing page, potentially how project comparison can be seen. So we can take a look at different sectoral scopes. You can compare by methodologies. You can compare by project name, and the projects come up. When they come up, you can select which projects you want to compare. You select them. Okay. And again, all of this is done through the APIs within the open source Guardian or in a managed Guardian service. And you could see that for the first time, I believe in history, we're able to see full project data of every project that's submitted. And you can see all the information. So the way to read it is that when things are highlighted, when data is highlighted in white, it's different. When data is highlighted in green, it's the same. So as you can see, we're comparing them. We can provide data analysis. And there's a lot of different things that can come from here. So again, the whole point is that we're here to re-envision the way that registry systems are and the way that really the carbon market should be. So again, feel free to contact us. We're more than happy to provide anyone here at COP28 onboarding. We're here until December 11th. I have some of my contact information. This directly goes to my phone. So please contact me either through LinkedIn, WhatsApp, Telegram. You can go to, again, the GitHub. We have github.com/hashgraph/guardian/issues is what's over here if you happen to use it and you find some issues. We're on Discord as well. We're, hedera.com/Discord. Find us in the sustainability chat. Or again, if you don't want to reach me by phone, I totally understand. You can send us an email and you can reach out to info@envision blockchain. Thank you so much, and I hope you guys enjoyed the presentation.